If any of that interests you, stay tuned because we're going to go over Swanson's TV classes.
Here is the studio, and this is where we do our best of the nest segments and we do debates. And over here, and this is where we do squawk talk and we have a green screen. And here is all the technical stuff. We have the TriCaster used when you're switching, the teleprompter, audio, and this big box of important stuff.
And if you're really interested in TV production, you can apply for the independent study where we do cool things like podcasts, edit the best of the nest, and we're currently working on new ideas like what's new in the nest and squawk talk.
Hi, I'm Luke, and we're interviewing Swanson on some questions based on TV prod classes. So what do some of the students do in your classes?
Well, it depends on the class that you're in, Luke. The first class in the program is media literacy, and that's kind of a theory. It's the most Englishy type class where you learn the basics of like visual media literacy, like mise-en-scene, juxtaposition, things like that. You get into media bias, interview techniques for debate, social media, and advertising techniques. Intro to TV is kind of an intermediate step. It's basically what you do in the first quarter of TV 1, except much more in depth. So that gets into basic technical, non-technical roles, broadcasting, video, lighting, things of that nature. TV production, which is the biggest and the most popular of all the classes in the program, is a year-long course. The other two are semester only. And what you do in there is you get a quick crash course in media literacy techniques, just for the kids that didn't take media literacy, basically. And one of the big things we do is Best in the Nest that actually airs on TV to 80,000 homes across 5 counties. It's a live component of the course starting in the second quarter. In addition to that, kids in TV production do all kinds of genres of different types of things. So they produce like a music video, a PSA, a commercial, an industrial promotional video, things like that. It's kind of set up like a college seminar style course, you know, where I introduce something, you're given a chunk of time with benchmarks along the way, and you have to get it done. The next course is Film Studies and Filmmaking, but in the course book, it's called Media Studies. We commonly call it TV2. That is very film-centric. So we start off with film history and film theory. You continue to do Best of the Nest, and this year we're gonna start something a little bit different. We're kind of Frankensteining something that Miss Given is trying in her TV prod classes, where you develop a character, a set of characters, and you're going to tell like an episodic story of that character. In addition to that, we go heavy into script writing. You guys will write scripts. We'll do stage readings in the studio. Based on a certain set of criteria, we'll choose a certain number of those scripts, and you guys will produce them as a full-on short film through the entire process. And then beyond that is independent study, which is its own beast entirely.
Sweet, that's really cool. And you aren't the only teacher that does this, right? You mentioned Miss Given.
Miss Given teaches 2 of the TV production classes, like TV1. So I teach everything except Miss Given and I both teach TV1. And if this year and last year seems to be the way it's going to be for a while. So both years there have been 4 TV1 classes. She's had 2, I've had 2. But I am the only teacher of media literacy, intro to TV, and TV2.
All right, sweet. Now this is a very similar question, but what are some of the highlights of what your students did in the class? What do you think is really great what they did?
Well, I think TV production is ultimately an English elective. And I'm a very firm believer, and the whole course is designed around this core concept that to get the most out of it, you need an equal dose of theory and technical execution. So everything that we do in all of the classes is built on a base theory of media literacy in some shape or form. And to tie it to English a little bit, because they are English electives, it kind of goes along with the old adage in English: if you want to be a better writer, read. Yeah. You know, if you you need to understand one for the other, like one feeds the other. So everything that we do, we use the production process, and when I'm able, when capable, when fitting, try to tie what you're doing back to some sense of media literacy.
Great. So tell me about yourself and some of the roles that you have in AHS-TV.
Well, this is my 20th year in the Armstrong School District. I am the OG TV person. I was hired way back when, and I designed the first studio, got all the classes up and going. Back then the show's called Education Today. I worked in all 4 high schools then with the TV Prod teachers. I did that for 4 years and I moved in a teaching role. And I taught TV production in every level of English at Katanning Senior High School. Since we've been here, I've had primarily 12th grade English opposite of the TV production classes. These last 2 years I've had 9th grade English opposite it, except for the first year I was all over the map. So basically I run AHS-TV. The multimedia technician position was eliminated about 5 years ago, and I absorbed basically the lion's share of another full-time job, which has been a challenge to say the least. But it's been hard and it's been trying, but I think we finally got it to a place where I can be proud of it again.
All right, thank you. And what do you think is so great about these classes? Why do you love to teach this class?
Well, I think one, it's fun. It's fun and it's creative, and it's an opportunity for kids to explore different things creatively. But I also think what's kind of neat about it is you got a little bit of something for everybody. You know, like if you have a kid that's more into writing, we have script writing. You know, if you have a kid that's more into being technical hands-on, you run the camera. You know, if you're more into computers, we have the editing. If you're more into like being physically active, you know, you can be in front of the camera. Like there's a place for almost every avenue of interest somewhere in what we do here.
All right, thank you. How has this year been different from other years?
Kind of what I alluded to earlier. I think this is the very first year where everything's kind of generally working since the loss of the multimedia technician position.
First year you feel like yourself.
That is very true, yeah. Part of that is picking up the multimedia technician role again after having been out of it for about 15 years or so. And the other part of that is normalizing after COVID. So those two things together was a 1-2 punch that was not easy to navigate at all. But yeah, I do. I feel like myself as a person and a teacher, and like I said, we're not, nor will we ever be exactly what we were before when there are 2 of us down here full time taking care of different aspects of the program. But I feel that this is the first year that we've got a solid grasp on operating under the reality we've been under for the last few years.
All right, and lastly, can you explain your independent study that you mentioned?
Okay, so the independent study. The independent study are for kids in TV2. And basically, I tell kids every year, take it only if you have a sincere interest, basically. It's more than just like, oh, I get to hang out down here for another period or 2 or something like that. And it's, in essence, you're kind of like interns for AHS-TV, right? Things come along, you're the ones that get dumped on. So in addition to that, you have like a regular occurrence of things. Like it takes pretty much the first 9 weeks to get everything set up. So during that time, your help with that when you're able or when it's relevant. You have an individual project, you have a group project. We're about to kick off, that's actually what this stack of papers right here is. Starting the next 9 weeks, you guys are gonna get really busy. So we're gonna get into Squawk Talk Live, something new that actually Kate and Hanky introduced called What's New in the Nest, kind of like a preview of what's going on in the week. You guys will be responsible for taking the elements of Best of the Nest and getting it together and out to air on time. Because this, when it comes to Best of the Nest, it's not a class assignment. It's a real show with real deadlines, so it matters, you know. Yeah. So, and that's going to be on you at the end. You're the last stop in that chain, you know, to get that out on time. So that's something to be considered. What else are we doing? We do the podcast, Hawkscast, which seems to be pretty popular, and we stream that on Spotify as well and put it on YouTube. It's always fun. Yeah, and basically anything you guys have an interest in. Like, and what's kind of neat about it is given the individual and the group project to see what you kids do. It has to be relevant in some shape or form, right? So for this 9 weeks, the individual project had Kate and Hanky develop a website for his photography. You know, I had a couple kids like review a film in an analytical sense. I had a couple kids do a podcast because that's where their interest is. I have a couple kids do like little video skits and things like that. So that's kind of like your avenue to explore specifically what you are interested in. And then for the group project, it's supposed to be something that can somehow be used to promote our school. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Swanson.
If that sounded like a fun time to you, you can use any of this equipment in any of the TV production classes.
This is brought to you by AHS-TV.